Hello, scientists. Welcome to Hatching Passions. This is going to be a fairly short video, I think, maybe a little longer, because we're going to be updating you on all three of the critters that we are hatching and watching grow. We're going to do a quick update about our praying mantises. We're going to talk a little bit about our caterpillars that have now gone into chrysalis, and we'll talk a little bit about how our eggs are developing. And this will be a really good time for you to update your journal. This will be a good time for you to write down any information that I'm giving you to really make sure that your journal is robust. So if you don't have that, you probably want to go get it, and you probably want to get your pencil and maybe even some pencil crayons so you can color in any of the things that you're seeing. And yeah, so let's start with talking about the praying mantis over here. Now, okay, so what you're seeing is an up close of a female praying mantis, and they're really hard to get in camera because they move so quickly. But you'll notice she's quite large. This is actually one of the few situations. Oh, there she goes. Hang on, let me see if I can get her. In which the female is larger than the male. Most often in nature, the female is smaller, but in this case, praying mantis females are larger. I hope you can see her. Remember, she started off about the size of a dime, and now she's even bigger than a quarter. She's really quite large. And let me see if I can, there we go, turn it around so you can see her. If we get a good shot, it would be a good time to pause the video so you can draw her. And remember, remember our song? Head, abdomen, thorax, jointed legs, compound eyes, and antennae. Remember that song? Oh, she jumped onto the camera. Oh, she's going to crawl right on. Okay, friends. All right, scientists, this is part of science. Trying to work with living creatures is a little tricky. There she goes. There she goes. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I drew, and the video, or the, I'm going to show you the journal of what I drew. But first I'm going to put her back in her terrarium. Okay, scientists, now I have my journal, and I wanted to show you the notes that I took on the praying mantis. I noted that, is there a way you can see that? I noted that at first they were tiny and fit on about a dime-sized object. And then I noted that now, today, they're much bigger, and the males, not the females, but the males probably fit on a quarter. Females would be much larger. I noted that it took about 10 days from them to get this size to this size, which is 3 times larger. That would be like a newborn baby going from 5 pounds to 15 pounds in 10 days, which is crazy. So they're going really, really fast. And then I did my best to do a drawing of a praying mantis, and I labeled all the parts. So I'm going to sing that song again just to remind you of how it goes. Head, thorax, abdomen, jointed legs. Head, thorax, abdomen, jointed legs, and compound eyes, and antennae too. Head, thorax, abdomen, jointed legs. So you can draw your own. And this is not the best drawing of a praying mantis. It's just fine. It's the best I can do. But make sure that you put all of the parts. And remember, on insects, all of the legs come off of the thorax. And I actually think if I drew this again, I would make the abdomen bigger, because on a praying mantis, the abdomen is quite large. But all of the legs, all 6 of them, come off of the thorax. And there are 6 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So now let's check in on our caterpillars. Scientists, this is an exciting thing for me. All of the butterflies, or most of the butterflies, I should say, or the caterpillars, are now in chrysalis. They crawled up to the top of the cup, they formed J's, and they basically turned themselves inside out, and they became a chrysalis. One butterfly, one caterpillar did not make it, and I put the body out for the birds to eat, because sometimes that happens. It's just the way it happens in nature. And if you'll see, one of them fell off of the paper and is going to hatch down here. Let me just tell you what's going on right now. This is called metamorphosis. This creature is changing completely. The outside of the chrysalis is hard, it's crusty, and on the inside, the caterpillar is basically liquid at this point, or sort of gelatinous, and they are changing completely. Their entire cellular structure is changing, and they will emerge as butterflies. What's going to happen is, over the course of several more days, the chrysalis will get more transparent, and you'll be able to see the forming butterfly through the chrysalis. And then, when it's ready to come out, it will start to emerge out of the chrysalis, and the body of the butterfly will be full of liquid, and it will pump its body slowly and fill the wings with with fluid that will make the wings spread out, and then they will you'll see it. You'll see the liquid slowly drip off of the wings, and as they dry, and once the wings are dry, the butterflies will be able to fly, and they will fly around this enclosure, which, as you see, I've moved them to. The only thing that I do every single day, I don't do anything else for these little guys other than I take my little spray bottle, and every day I spray them with a little water, because of course I'm getting water on myself now. If they were outside underneath a leaf, which is where they would make their chrysalis, is underneath a leaf, it would rain, there would be moisture from the wind, and so they need to have moisture, because a house or an indoor enclosure is much, much, much drier than it would be outside. So we have to simulate the moisture they would get in the air. Also, I have this little tub of water that I keep in here that helps keep the moisture at a good level. So we're going to take if you want to pause the camera here and just draw a picture of all of them hanging off of the side of the enclosure, you can do that. We will also look close up at a chrysalis so that you can see more details about what it looks like. Scientists, what you are seeing now is as close as we can get to the chrysalis. This is the one that fell, and so I think it's okay to look at. This chrysalis will still hatch. It just is going to have a little bit different of a process than the other ones. Now notice that it's sort of gray in color. It looks shaped a little bit like a banana almost, and it's very small. You will also notice, if you look carefully, that there are these sort of gold parts, or these little flecks of gold. Those are light receptors. Just like you need sunlight to live, it needs sunlight to live. And to grow. So it uses those light receptors to attract the sun. I never put this directly in the sun because, as I said, they would make their chrysalis underneath a leaf, so I need to keep them in indirect sunlight. Not directly in the sunlight, but in indirect light. If you want to pause the video now and take a moment to draw what you see, now would be a good time to do that, and then we will look at my journal and see what I wrote. Scientists, I just wanted to show you what I put in my journal. I decided to draw the enclosure itself so that I could know what it looked like, and I labeled it butterfly enclosure. And then I tried to draw the chrysalis, or the paper with the chrysalis on it, and I wrote chrysalis, and I put 5 that they're hanging from here. These are supposed to be the chrysalises, and these are the holes that the caterpillars chewed in the fabric, which I thought was an interesting thing. I should probably label that. And then down here, I tried to draw as close up as I could of the chrysalis. I'm going to color them later, but I just wanted you to see that this is what I did. And I want to remind you, because I can hear my friend Diane in telling me, I can hear her in my ear saying, scientists use pencil, and they do. But we discovered that you can't see this if I don't write in marker. So you should write in pencil and color in pencil crayon, and I will do mine in dark pen so you can see it. Okay, I think we're all caught up with the butterflies. They will become, or the chrysalis, they will become butterflies soon, and I think now we should talk about the chickens. Scientists, now we're going to talk about the chickens. The chickens are actually getting very close to hatching. We have candled them, as you remember from the last video about the chickens, and we've been keeping track of them. They've been in this incubator for many, many days, slowly rolling back and forth at about 100 degrees. And we've been keeping the tank nice and moist so that they are ready to grow and to hatch. We did have a question. I hypothesized that as they developed, they would get heavier. And I think I based that on the idea that a human baby starts off very small and gets heavier as it gets closer to birthing. But it turns out that chicken eggs are not the same. It turns out that they weigh about the same at the beginning of the process of becoming chickens as they do when they're ready to hatch. Actually, in fact, their weight might get a little smaller. They might weigh a little less as they start to take up space in the egg and push some of the air out of the egg. Because remember that an egg shell is gas permeable. That means that air can go in and out of it. So who knew? Now we know that that chicken eggs might get a little lighter as the babies are getting closer to being born. What's going to happen next is in a few days we will take them out of the tray that's rolling them back and forth and just put them back in the incubator where they will be very, very still. And once they begin to emerge from the shell, we're going to try and get that on film as best we can for you. We'll put them in a tank where they will be able to also stay warm with a heat lamp and eat and drink water and eat food, because now they're just consuming what's in the shell, and so pretty soon they're going to need to eat something. After they come out of the shell, they're going to need to eat something that we provide for them. The next step here is for you to get your journal, and I will show you what's been happening on the days since we last filmed. Okay, so we last left off on day 8. So we've had day 9 where their mouth opens and their claws grow. That means that their little beak can open and close, and their claws, chickens have claws, can start to grow. If you want to pause the video and write that down, now is the time to do that. Day 10, their first feathers start to grow all over their body, and their nostrils form. So think about that for a second. How were they breathing before that? Probably through their mouths, but their little nostrils is what you have in your nose. If you want to take notes, pause the video and write it down. Day 11, their tail feathers grow. Those are the feathers on their behinds. Pads grow on the feet so that they have little pads on your feet just like you do. Day 12, scales grow on their legs. I'm not really sure what they mean by scales, because I think I'm going to have to just wait till the chicken is born to see what that means. But I imagine it's kind of that bumpy skin on chicken legs. And the chickens can hear. The peep inside can hear on day 12. It's kind of exciting. It makes me wish I'd sung a song or something. Day 13, body is covered with feathers. Their entire body is covered with feathers at this point. That's pretty cool. Day 14, their head and their ribs have hardened. Now, what that means is that when before this, their head and their ribs were the bones were still fairly soft, and now their bones have become calcified or become harder, more like human bones. Day 15, Scales harden, feathers finish growing. Again, not quite sure what they mean by scales, unless it means it's kind of like that bumpiness on their legs, and their feathers finish growing, so all of their feathers are ready to go. All right, my friends, and my beautiful scientists, that is it for our update. In the next videos, what you're going to be seeing is the butterflies actually hatching and the eggs actually hatching, and I'm excited for that. And after the eggs have hatched, we'll go over what's the rest of the days and what was happening on those days. And please watch for the other videos and keep taking good notes, scientists, because remember, the difference between messing around and science is writing it down.